Very good afternoon to everyone present here. I am Vedpriya Lahiri, Assistant Professor, DME Law School, and I welcome you all to this webinar on social media and liability of intermediaries, the Indian perspective. This has been organized by the DME Law School. Today we have with us as guest Professor Dr. Anand Panwasa, officiating Vice Chancellor, Rajiv Gandhi National University of Law, Patiala. We welcome you, sir, to today's event.
Thank you.
I would also like to welcome Professor Dr. Bhavish Gupta, sir, Head of Academics, DME Law School, who is here with us. I welcome all the participants, and I'm sure that today's event will help everyone present here in enriching their experience and gaining valuable knowledge on the theme. Now, I would request Ms. Sri Durga TN, Assistant Professor, DME Law School, and my co-host for this event to introduce our honorable guest. Please, ma'am.
Professor Dr. Anand Pawar, who is our guest for today, is a very distinguished academician. He has been the Vice Chancellor officiating of Hidayatullah National Law University, Raipur. He also has been the officiating registrar of Hidayatullah National Law University, Raipur, and controller of examination of Hidayatullah National Law University, New Raipur. He has so many articles and edited books to his credit, which are published. Presently, sir is officiating Vice Chancellor of RGNUL, Patiala, Punjab. We welcome you, sir, and I request you to please start your session.
Shri Durga, Honorable DG sir has also joined. Please welcome him as well. Please welcome the Honorable DG sir.
So, sir, good afternoon. I would like to extend a warm welcome to Honorable Mr. Justice Bhavar Singh, sir. He is the Director General at Delhi Metropolitan Education and former Judge, Allahabad High Court. Thank you, sir, for your presence and for your blessings. So, with this, I would like to invite Dr. Panwar to please begin his session, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. I'm thankful to the Delhi Metropolitan Education Society for inviting me to share my views on this topic of social media and responsibility of intermediaries, the Indian perspective. Madam, I'm trying to share my screen, but it says that I need some permission.
Sir, I will just allow that.
No. So meanwhile, I'll just share that in the present scenario, we all know that social media has become a very important platform where the individuals can share their views and they can express their views in multiple ways. But when it comes to sharing with you,
thank you. Okay. बड़े अच्छे notes हैं बेटा मेहनत से.
Sir, it need to be muted some of the mics if.
Yes, sir, please.
Yeah. So still I'm not able to share my.
Durga ma'am, if you could make sir the co-host.
I'm just doing that.
So in that perspective, since this topic has become very relevant in the current scenario, I developed somehow my interest because I was teaching media law, that there are multiple kind of issues which are coming up these days at different forums, specifically with reference to use of social media and fixing the responsibilities of intermediaries. So in today's discussion, I would like to discuss that what are all the part of social media, who are all the intermediaries as per definition of law, what kind of legislations are relevant, and what are the gray areas where the status is not yet settled, and what is required of resolving all these issues which are coming up very frequently. So for example, in the current scenario, maybe in
Sir, you have muted yourself.
Muted yourself.
Okay, yes,
sorry.
we can. Sir, and I think you would be able to share the screen as well.
Yeah, I've made you the co-host.
Yes. Are you able to have the PPT?
Yes,
is it
sir.
visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So as we all know that in the current scenario, this topic of social media and intermediaries liability is very relevant, because multiple kind of problems are shared, are countered very frequently with reference to social media. Now, or the part of social media, we know that every individual has become part of social media these days. And the kind of platform which is available these days with every individual to enjoy the freedom of speech and expression as the constitutional right ensured by our Indian Constitution is very frequently violated also in reference to the rights of the others. So what should be the limit, and how the individuals be encouraged to know their limits in terms of whatever they are expressing on social media? And because we have different kind of legislation in Indian perspective, where the liabilities of the individuals can be determined. But when it comes to fixing the responsibilities of the intermediaries, those who are providing such platform of expressing the views of the individuals, whether their liabilities can be fixed, up to what extent their liabilities can be fixed, do we have any legislation, do we have guidelines? If the guidelines are there, how far we are able to implement the guidelines in its real sense? And what are the judicial interpretation in reference to different kind of problems which we are facing in day-to-day life with reference to the social media and the responsibilities of the intermediaries? So as we all know that the freedom of speech and expression, if we consider from the US perspective, because there is no written limitations prescribed under the US Constitution, therefore some of the constitutional makers or some of the jurists, they interpret that the nature of freedom of expression is absolute in US Constitution, whereby which is not a true statement, because the judiciary has the power that irrespective of any specific criteria mentioned in the Constitution, they can impose a restriction wherever they find that there is a security threat of the security of the state, or eminent lawless actions are there. So there are various alternative criteria which the judiciary can evolve. When it comes to the Indian perspective, the freedom of speech and expression under Article 19, we have Article 19.2, where some of the limitations are mentioned there in the Constitution itself. And all these specific limitations can be interpreted when it comes to freedom of expression. So all freedom of speech and expression would be subject to limitation imposed by Article 19.2. This is the constitutional status. And when it comes to the social media, the same kind of obligation and same kinds of restrictions applied for the social media perspective also. Now, what is the status of social media and social media users in Indian perspective, and what kind of different intermediaries are there to whom we are talking about their liability? So as we know that there are multiple kind of social media platforms available in India, be it as Google, Yahoo, Gmail, Orkut, YouTube, Facebook, bloggers, LinkedIn, Flickr, multiple. These are very few with reference to that. And when it comes to using the social media platform, we have more than 200 million internet users in India. And all these internet users, they have multiple kind of platforms available to express their views. Now, be it as, if you'll consider it as a print media or electronic media, when it comes to electronic media, there are multiple kind of obligation, and we have the broadcasters associations and multimedia associations also. But all such, if the media houses are registered within that parameter, then their obligations applies in that. But be it as an individual, say for example, in the current farmers agitation, you will find that there are thousands of different individuals. They have started their YouTube channels as a source of information which is to be shared without realizing that the information which they are sharing, what kind of impact is going to create on all the viewers, and relying on such information, how the individuals will react. So sometimes when the people, they start sharing such news without verifying, it may lead to multiple kind of problems. Sometimes it gives this true information, sometimes the informations are fabricated also. So instead of resolving the problem, sometimes the problems are multiplied by all such informations, which means in case if the platforms provides the options to share the information to the individuals at multiple level, then how the individuals are responding in a responsible manner, that is a very important question, which otherwise is not regulated. Until unless a case is filed, or until unless there is a blatant or patent wrong information circulated for ulterior motive. So in that context, when the individuals will be subject to the laws which are applicable, then what is the liability of intermediaries? So who are the intermediaries? We need to define that who are all the intermediaries. And therefore, we have the Information Technology Act of 2000, which is amended in the 2008, where all these intermediaries are defined, and all these intermediaries with respect to the definition which is provided under this IT Amendment Act of 2008, that is with respect to any particular electronic record, any person who on behalf of another person receives, stores or transmit that record or provides any service with respect to that record, and includes telecom service providers. So this is one category of the intermediaries. Network service providers, internet service providers, web hosting service providers, then search engines, online payment site and online auction sites are very frequently violating multiple kind of rights of the consumers, as there are IPR violations, there are economic rights which are affected by all such online auction sites and online marketplaces. Also, we have multiple kind of websites where you can place your orders to buy multiple kind of products which are available, and the problems which are faced by the consumer otherwise, the problems are multiplied when it comes to online purchase and selling on such sites. So in such circumstances, all those who are providing such services, be it as a telecom service providers or network service providers, internet service providers, web hosting search engines, online payment sites, how to fix their responsibility? Their responsibility will be in question, and how the government and the legislatures have responded in terms of fixing their liability would be the core area of today's discussion. Now, if you want to have some kind of examples in Indian perspective, network infrastructure providers like NIPs, BSNL, MTNL, Airtel, Reliance Communication, Vodafone, SR, Tata, they are all the examples of the network infrastructure providers. The internet service providers also, the Satyam, Rishnet, Wipro. In Indian context, the same company works in different capacities, like BSNL or Reliance Communications, maybe a NIP also, maybe a ISP also, maybe IAP also, internet access providers also, because we don't have such kind of categorization or limitation when it comes to broadband or spectrum cell. It will be an open market to be competed, and any nature of company, if they are capable of, they can participate in such kind of service providing activities. And therefore, the same kind of company maybe in Indian perspective be considered as network infrastructure provider or internet service provider or internet access provider also. And a part of the multinational companies like social networking sites, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Orkut, Google, maybe user-generated contents platforms, YouTube, WhatsApp, blogging platforms, and including search engines also like Google, Yahoo. So these are all up to an extent covered in the definition of intermediaries. So in case if any service provider in this category provides the platform whereby any kind of violation of law or any kind of problem is created, then in that circumstances, the person who is the perpetrator, his liabilities would be subject to the legislations which are applicable in Indian context. But in addition to that, how to fix the responsibility of these intermediaries, that is in question. So say for example, if you have purchased some of the products from, maybe it as from Amazon or Flipkart, and at later point of time when you received that product, if you found that that product is of not same quality, or it's a violation of trademark or any kind of right whereby you are deceived by such product, so the person or the company who have provided that product online or who has manufactured, their liability is fixed. But in addition to that, how to fix the responsibility of that online portal site who has provided this platform to the manufacturer to sell the product? If you will not fix their liability, then they will only earn the money they will only earn their share as in profit, but without any liability. And in such cases, they will not take any kind of filtration or any kind of initiative whereby all these ill practices can be avoided. And therefore, these intermediaries are very important when it comes to fixing the responsibility in social media. So social media, we all know that it's a term used and described online internet interaction of individuals and exchange of user-generated contents and information, be it as a microblogging or social networking site, bookmarking sites, social news, multimedia. All these becomes part of social media. Now, what kind of challenges and problems which we are facing these days on social media? Like rumor mongering. In last 2 days, you might be, since you are in Delhi NCR, there are multiple kind of fake news circulated on social media with reference to that how the agitations are taking place and what kind of situation is prevalent in different parts of Delhi. So there are some misinformations also. Sometimes these social media sites are misused to instigate individuals to indulge in various kind of situations where the law and order situations become goes out of the control, and relying on such information, even the individuals feels ignited and agitated, where it multiplies the problem for the administration to handle such situations. So that is a very common situation during the COVID pandemic also. When some of the people, they have circulated the information that a train from Bombay will go on such and such date at such time for UP and Bihar, and thousands of people gathered because those who were willing to reach to their destination at their native places. So all these fake news becomes very important. Sometimes it creates so much of problem for the states and the administration, and it becomes the part of law and order situation, and it becomes very difficult. So there's a very common problem of rumor mongering. Hate speech is also one of the example. Instigating riots, where flash mob, lynching, and all these informations are circulated. Imitating fake account and fake news is also one of the very important aspects. We know there a few years back, there were many PMO fake accounts on Twitter or on Facebook in the name of Pradhan Mantri and some other names. And whatever information sometimes it is shared, the people with ulterior motives, they used to create fake news, and they use all these fake accounts to circulate such news, which becomes which creates so much of problem in the society. Then this was also one of the news that a few years IS has tried to recruit their terrorists through social media, or sometimes the anti-national associations, they use social media for ulterior motives, including inviting people to take part in their illegal activities. So, and there was open advertisements for such activities, which becomes sometimes very difficult, because creating fake account is a very common parameter and very easy way, whereby with the fake IDs, the individuals can circulate information to the world, not only within the territory of India, but the whole world becomes like a village where anyone can share the news or views with anybody. So, and defamation, derogation becomes very important. Anybody is writing anything in this, specifically when it comes to the kind of political activities or the political parties, how they or the followers of political parties or an individual politician. Sometimes social media becomes a common platform for defaming each other. An incident of unethical, immoral contents, where females also feel sometimes that they are humiliated, they are sexual abusers there, then victimizing of children. All these activities are very, very prevalent and common these days. Then personal data theft and data protection issues. We all know that data protection bill is in process in Indian perspective. After Puthuswamy's decision that right to privacy with reference to collection of data. And unless this data protection bill comes in the form of an enactment, the issues relating to that how to use or how to use the data which is collected by the government agencies or the agencies which are authorized by the government for various purposes. Sometimes the government needs the data, because without having the data, they will not be able to implement their government policies or whatever welfare policies are there. It requires the data. Say, for example, for Pradhan Mantri, this house construction, for which they need the data BPL people, or for multiple kind of welfare policies, the government also needs the data. And sometimes because the government, they do not have sufficient kind of human resource, they take the help of the agencies, the private agencies also, and they used to indulge in collecting all this information. And it is time and again, sometimes it is realized that these informations or data which are collected by the individual institution or the institution on behalf of the government, they leak it or they share it for economic reasons, for economic benefits or otherwise, which creates so much of problem. And for that, the litigations takes place. So it multiplies the problems. Then artificial intelligence issues are also with reference to data protection is also the web war. Web war is also one of the kind like which is very common in between the India and Pakistan or the enemy countries sometimes, where the individuals unnecessarily becomes part of such where the platforms are becoming a common area where the people unnecessary or without any reason sometimes start alleging each other with reference to various kind of issues. Then certainly there are intellectual property right violations also, be it as a as an academician, we find that sometimes the articles which are published or the books which are published are copied very commonly, violating the copyright issues, indulging into plagiarism, or sometimes with regard to the copyright and trademark issues or patent issues also when it comes to the online selling and purchase of products. Then jurisdiction issues are also there, because sometimes, say for example, if till now the multinational companies like Facebook and Twitter or Google, they don't have their offices in India or the regional or local jurisdictions. So in case if such kind of problems are prevalent or some kind of cases are required to be instituted against them, these jurisdictions issues becomes very prevalent, that they say that we do not have any office in India or in your local jurisdiction, you do not have jurisdiction, you cannot file it. In case if you need to file these cases, then you need to exercise the appropriate jurisdiction. And these jurisdictions issues also sometimes become problem when it comes to deciding the liabilities of the individual. So these are some examples of the problems which we face on social media. And in almost all these problems, the intermediaries are involved, and how to fix their responsibility becomes question. And therefore, their liability is required to be discussed. Now, why we need to fix the responsibility? Because every wrongful act involves a perpetrator and a victim. So you know the perpetrator and sometimes you know the victim also, but the person who has provided such platform, how to fix their responsibility? That in that context, the transmission become a very important aspect. So transmission of an online communication can only be made possible by the interface of third parties, namely the service provider. And these service providers are the intermediaries. So how to fix their responsibilities? More so, you can say that they are the facilitators. So why we need to decide, or worldwide, because you cannot say that their liabilities are not fixed. There are somewhere it is moral responsibility, sometimes a tortious responsibility, and what should be the nature of their responsibility, be it as a criminal responsibility or a civil responsibility, or it would only be limited to paying the compensation for the acts in which they are involved. So intermediate service providers, their payment systems, search engines and auction sites provide the infrastructure necessary for internet transactions. This is what for they should be held responsible, because they are providing their services and they are taking and they are charging for that. So when you become beneficiary or you are taking profit out of the services which you are providing, that profit should not be without any liability. If they will be set free for any kind of activities which they can explore or they can provide, then without having liability, it would be very difficult to regulate it. So if it is not restrictive, the approach must be regulatory. So it should not be a complete restriction, but rather than it should be in a kind of regulations where how to regulate their activities would be considered. And intermediaries are under certain conditions liable for the content that they subscribe or even other internet users put online. So social media site and the online sale purchase sites or auction sites, whether the liability should be equal or the parameters are required to be distinguished, that is also one of the question. So there are multiple kind of models on which their liabilities can be fixed. it may be a generalized model, or some other principles on which their liabilities are required to be determined. Say, for example, generalized model is one of the, I'm talking about the conceptual framework, that what parameters may be laid down to fix the responsibility. So in generalized model, we know that the liabilities in any nation can be fixed for any wrong, be it as in the form of civil or in criminal law. So some of the acts which are violated, there will be definitely some kind of law, be it in a civil law or in a criminal law. So the generalized model says that wherever the law is specific, and if there is a specific violation of that law, be it as a civil law or a criminal law, then the liabilities are required to be determined accordingly. But since there are multiple kind of issues, like in Avnish Bajaj's case, we found where the company was not made party, and there was that concept of fixing the criminal liability of corporation was not in existence. And the individual who was subject to FIR, the court, acquitted him merely on this ground that since the company was not become the part of this criminal proceeding, therefore the managing director cannot be held responsible. So such kind of problems are faced when it comes to the multinational companies. So generalized model says that in case if there are civil or criminal liabilities as per the law, then accordingly the liabilities be decided, or be it as a vicarious liability can also be decided. Now the principle of safe harbor is very pertinent here, because and this is up to an extent part of our IT Act also in section 76. Safe harbor is that up to an extent a nation's capability of having such kind of online platform is the root cause of providing such kind of safe harbor. Say, for example, if the Indian government or our country would have been that independent, where we would have sufficient kind of resources, where we can we can manage all these online platform by our own. We don't need any server from the outside country or multinational companies, and we will be self-sufficient to regulate each and every dimensions of the online governance. Because the government in last few years, they have the government in last few years, they have up to an extent said that we should regulate such activities. Let me just fix this. Oh, thank you. So if the government is self-sufficient in terms of providing all these internet facilities to their native residents of their country, then we are not dependent on these kind of multinational companies. And in last few years, if you realize that all these state governments or the central governments, they try to come online. They are believing in e-governance, and for ensuring e-governance or to making the procedure a bit easy, if they are putting everything on internet or online resources, then we should have that much of capability. And since the government was not having all these capabilities to operate all these infrastructure by their own, up to an extent we can say that the government is relying on all these intermediaries. We are not purely Indian, but where there are multinationals. And therefore, if we will not provide them safe harbor means that there won't be any that the government up to an extent through their legislations provide a legal protection to all these intermediaries, that in case if you have taken appropriate precaution, then in case if there is any violation of law, the intermediaries would not be held responsible. The only thing is that they need to take proper precaution. That is called the another concept of due diligence. So in case if they have taken care of the due diligence part, where they have taken all parameters by which they can ensure, or they can try their level best to ensure that the individuals would not be allowed to violate any law, then in that condition their liability would not be determined. And that comes under this principle of safe harbor, where the government provides a legal protection that if you have taken proper care under this concept of due diligence, then your liability would not be directly you will not be directly responsible for that. That is the kind of this concept of safe harbor. It may be a vertical safe harbor or horizontal also. Vertical BB, where the protection is provided for some specific areas, be it, say, for example, in some companies who are indulging in online selling and purchase or online portals for auctions or for sale and purchase of the product, then the government may provide protection with reference to the copyright violation and trademark law. So the intermediaries may say that since our company is not very capable of identifying that what kind of copyright legislations are applicable in Indian perspective, and therefore we should not be held responsible until unless the court directs or until unless the government says that this is a copyright violation, you need to remove the content or you need to remove this product from your online sale purchase website. We will follow the directions of the government and the courts, otherwise we are not going. So if such kind of protection is provided by the government, where the government says that okay fine, in case if there are copyright violations which are not intentionally on the part of the intermediaries, then you will not be held subject or you will not be subjected of any litigation. So that kind of the principle of safe harbor applies in such cases. Maybe at horizontal also, where the multiple kind of protections are provided to the intermediaries for various kind of activities. Maybe the same intermediaries would also be indulged in providing the social networking side. The same intermediary might be providing the internet, online auction or sale purchase site also. So in all such cases, if the vertical safe harbor is not provided, then a blanket protection will be provided to the intermediaries, that for anything where you are not actively involved in terms of violation of any law, where you might have provided some kind of guidelines to the users, then your liabilities would be limited. So this principle of safe harbor is up to an extent limits the responsibility of intermediaries. And this is subject to the due diligence principle. Now, what is this due diligence principle is that since the government has provided the safe harbor to the intermediaries, they says you need to evaluate or examine the contents at your own level. And that's why we all know that whenever we are assessing any online portal, or in case if you have to create any email ID or your account on any social media site, they immediately ask you to sign their agreement. And in that agreement, they put all the terms and conditions that how you are going to use the site and what are the specific activities in which you should not indulge. But without realizing and without understanding that, many of the people, they don't even read the terms and conditions, and they simply just to make the account on that particular social site or on the social app, or there are multiple kind of exercises which you can perform on social media. You simply just sign it without realizing that what you are not supposed to do or what you are supposed to do on that site. Majority of people, they just, even after signing that, they violate the terms and conditions with which they have created their account. So merely on this ground that the company in that condition, they simply say that we have created the terms and conditions under this due diligence principle, which means we have taken all cares. Now it's the responsibility of the users that in case if they are not following it, we should not be held responsible. That is all they say when it comes to the due diligence principle. And therefore, this case is very important of Niche Boyaz versus State of Delhi. In this, the Bazi.com was the subsidiary of eBay company of USA. And they had an office in Mumbai. They were indulged in the activities where they sale and purchase of the product. So one of the item was that a video clip of around 17 minutes was provided as a product in the educational category on the site of Bazi.com, where that video was carrying some unethical activities of two students, their personal time and intimacy, and that was sold as an adult content. But since the video was uploaded on the site, claiming it as an educational content or material, the Bazi.com could not filter it, though they had different kind of filter process. And they classified also the individuals that these are the individuals who will classify and scrutinize the content before uploading on their website for sale and purchase purposes. And later on that video, it was, the process was that the Bazi.com was used to collect the money from the individuals, those who are willing to purchase. And at the end, whatever the sale purchase is, they used to clear their accounts and all. So they sold that video clip also without realizing that what kind of contents are there. And when it came into knowledge of the people who were aggrieved by that activities, they filed a FIR under section 292 to 92.2 in 294, and also under section 67 and 85 of the IT Act. Now, in this case, that problem of determining the generalized model was faced. That when the bail application was argued, the court initially refused to grant the bail, but ultimately they decided that since the corporate criminal liability concept was not there, therefore the individual as a managing director cannot be held responsible, and the bail was granted and he was acquitted also. And therefore, immediately after this case, all these intermediaries, they approached to the court by saying that if you will not insure us by providing some kind of protection, then we are not going to provide such services in India. And therefore, this clause of safe harbor was perhaps the reason where the government, because the government cannot deny that, because they are not self-sufficient in terms of providing all these facilities by their own, and therefore the government provided a kind of safe harbor to them, that in case if you have taken appropriate precaution. Now in this case, they say that they I mean inquire on two grounds, that what was the due diligence on the part of Bazi.com. They say we have specific people, they scrutinize it, the contents, and then only they upload. But in this case, because the content was uploaded in the educational category, perhaps that is what the reason they could not scrutinize properly. And therefore, the court says that the liability of those persons who were indulged in scrutinizing this process, or who was having this responsibility, they should be held responsible up to an extent by their own. So that is perhaps the reason because of which the government up to an extent agreed to provide the safe harbor principle and protection of legal protection, that in case if we have followed the due diligence clause, then the strict liability would not be determined on the part of the intermediaries. This is the judgment in different parameters that I'm not going to discuss. Similarly, MySpace versus Super Cassettes Industries Limited, where the copyright violation was the case, where the Super Cassettes Industries Limited alleged that MySpace for infringing the copyright under Section 51 of the Copyright Act, because whatever content which they have created, they have created CDs and DVDs of those contents which are not original, and they were selling it in the market, which was affecting the economic right of they were infringing the economic rights under Section 51 of that violation. So the intermediaries are required to remove such content. Now, in such cases where the complaints are received against any intermediaries, like see the I mean the Super Cassettes Industries Limited and MySpace, they were only the parties, but the intermediary who provided such kind of platform, how to fix the responsibility. So they say that what is the role of intermediary in such cases where any complaint is received. So in case if MySpace has said that they have violated it, or MySpace have violated at the platform of any intermediary, what immediately the intermediary has to do, whether they can, by simply receiving the complaint, they should remove the content, whether they should immediately take any action, how to respond immediately in such cases where there is any kind of complaint with reference to violation of any rights, be it as a copyright or any legal right. So what should be the approach? So perhaps this is the one case where the criteria that how to respond in such cases were determined. The court has decided 4 parameters. One is notice and take down. That immediately when the intermediaries comes to know that some kind of violations has taken place, they should remove the content. Or second option, that they, when the notice is received that some kind of rights are violated by some of the individuals at their platform, then they should give a notice to the other person, that calling the explanation from them, and based on that they can decide it. Or they can simply give the notice to the person who has violated that law or any right and disconnect it, or filtering it. So these are 4 different parameters which the court has suggested that how the intermediaries should respond in terms in case if there is any violation of such rights of the individuals. Shreya Singh's case, we all know that where the police arrested 2 women for posting allegedly offensive and objectionable comments on Facebook about the propriety of shutting down the city of Mumbai after death of political leader Balasaheb Ambedkar and that. So that action was taken under the Section 66A which was challenged on the ground that it violates the freedom of speech and expression. And perhaps the what I personally feel that the language of section 66A was the reason of removing section 66A in this case. Otherwise, that there was no, I mean, in terms of fixing the responsibility of individuals under IT Act, the intention was very, very legitimate. But the language of section 66A was very, very, I mean, up to an extent void, or that creates so much of ambiguity. There was so much of ambiguity in that section in terms of drafting. Otherwise, putting restriction on individuals, that was perhaps within the limit of IT Act. But since the language of section 66A was so drafted that it provides so much of a scope of different interpretations, and which covers almost each and every aspect of that, that was the reason because of which this section was removed. Otherwise, it would have restored. Then Kent RO is also one of the case where this IPR issue was in question, where a duplicate kind of product was provided on eBay, which was similar to Kent RO, and this Amit Kotak, who manufactured that and provided on eBay India Private Limited for selling purposes, complaint was received from Kent RO, and that the intermediate should immediately remove this content because this is violating the rights of the Kent RO. Now, there were two different approach adopted. First was that whether the court should give a blanket instructions to the intermediaries. This is no. Compelling intermediaries to screen content would amount to an unreasonable interference with the right of intermediaries to carry on its business. This is, we cannot say that these kind of practices should be limited. They say that we have the concept of due diligence, and it's a responsibility of the intermediaries that they should scrutinize each and every aspect so that they will intentionally not allow, or they will not intentionally violate such rules. But giving any kind of specific instructions in general, that would violate it. And therefore, this is what kind of guidelines are required to be drafted in this regard. If in case if there is a infringement, then the parameters which are already been decided will be applicable. And this case of Nakul Bajaj is in this regard is very relevant because some of the guidelines, 6 different kind of guidelines with reference to intermediaries activities was determined in this case of Krishnan Augustine SAS versus Nakul Bajaj, where defendant was accused of selling counterfeited products through the website darways.com. It was alleged that the defendant used the plaintiff's name as meta tags in the website. They were infringing the trademarks of the plaintiff. The court held that benefit of safe harbor provisions under Section 79 of the Information Act could not be extended to an intermediary which actively participates in a transaction which amounts to infringement of IPR, which means in case if the court is satisfied that there is an involvement of intermediaries in promoting the activities which violates the right of any individual, then the safe harbor would not be available. Then in that condition, the legal protection which is provided under this concept of safe harbor would not be available to the intermediaries if there is an intentional involvement. So that is it. Now, many of the companies, they under this due diligence clause, they have created their own mechanism. Say, for example, in Facebook, they have created a kind of Supreme Court of Facebook as in to analyze and scrutinize their content. So in case if somebody is complaining that the Facebook has violated my privacy or subjected of any kind of act which they were not supposed to, and then they refer that matter instead of to the courts or to any authority. They have created a Supreme Court of the Facebook where different kind of people are there. Some are from the judiciary, some from society, some they have constituted a kind of committee, and they refer such kind of complaints to them, and based on their opinion, they try to resolve such matters. Now, the law in Indian perspective is Section 79, the Information Technology Act of 2000. Section 79 is very important. That up to an extent incorporated these kind of principles. So the intermediaries liability the function of intermediaries, specifically in 79(2), limited to providing access to the communication system over which information made available by third parties in transmission or temporarily stored. The intermediary does not initiate the transmission, receive the transmission, select or modify information. Now, the intermediaries will observe due diligence. This is what the kind of liability which has been imposed, this concept of due diligence by the IIT Act of India. That intermediaries observe due diligence while discharging his duties under this act, and also observe such other guidelines as the central government may prescribe in this behalf. Now, realizing this section 79 to C, the Ministry of Information and Technology, they have issued the guideline in 2011, known as the Intermediaries Liabilities Regulation 2011, covering various kind of activities like this Information Technology Intermediaries Guideline 2011, where this due diligence clause, they have, how they have covered, they have specified that these are the activities which the intermediaries have to specify and control. They said they shall publish the rules and regulations, privacy policy, user agreements for across users of the intermediary companies resources by any person. So they need to publish rules and regulations, privacy agreement, privacy policy, and that are required to be observed by all the users. And when reference to the agreement, what the individuals should be specifically restricted, what kind of activities which are required to be restricted by such agreements. So this is such rules should include that information users of computer resources not to host, display, upload, modify, publish, transmit, upload, update or share any information which relate to these specific activities, like the act which belongs to another person and to which the user does not have any right. They should not do such activities. In grossly harmful, harassing, blasphemous, defamatory, obscene, pornographic, libelous, invasive or of another's privacy, hateful or racial, ethical, objectionable, disappearing, relating to encouraging money laundering, gambling, otherwise unlawful in any manner. These kind of activities should not be allowed on social media sites. So they will include in their agreement that all these parameters are required to be drafted there. That act should not harm minor in any way, infringe any patent, trademark, copyright, deceive or mislead the address about the origin of such message, impersonate other person, contain software viruses or any other computer code, threatens the unity, integrity, defense, security, and sovereignty of India. All these parameters should be observed while framing the due diligence clause. And then this is the procedural part. That in case if this 79(4) is important in terms of fixing the time limitation. That in case if they receive any kind of violation, then within how much time they are supposed to remove it. So they said that act shall within 36 hours, the intermediary is supposed to remove that content. Further, the intermediary shall preserve such information, because in case if there is a litigation, they need to preserve all this information and to be provided to the investigative agencies. So that liability is there. Then the information or any such assistance shall be provided if whenever it will be asked from the intermediaries, they will assist, they will provide all such informations to the investigative agencies. And then they will immediately terminate the access and rights of the users to computer resources of intermediaries and remove non-compliant information. So these are all the procedural parts. So which means in 2011, the Ministry of Information and Technology, they have created a kind of regulation or guidelines observing the due diligence clause, that what all are requirement from the intermediary side that they should give as an information to their users, and it will be their duty that they need to implement it in appropriate. And there were multiple kind of issues with reference to this regulation. Therefore, in 2018, the Ministry of Information Technology again revised the guideline in 2018. And I searched today also, but till date, because in 2019 and 20, they made it open that the people at large or the individuals, the different government departments, they invited suggestions that how to make it more effective, these intermediaries liability guidelines. And in the only information available on internet that in February 2020, before lockdown, the ministry sent the regulations for approval to the law ministry, where the law ministry says that within 4 months they will finalize it and they will implement the 2018 intermediaries regulation guideline. But till now I have not received any information on internet which says that these regulations are implemented, which means in case still we have the scope to suggest multiple kind of responsibilities which we feel as a users of social media, that what kind of protection we need to fix the responsibility of the intermediaries. In case if you want to recommend to the ministry that any kind of changes, because on the Ministry of this electronics and telecommunication, these guidelines are available. If you want, you can read the contents and suggest whatever your feelings are with reference to, so that we can make it more effective. There are multiple kind of changes which they have made in that. The due diligence clause is almost same, but they have made it compulsory that in case if any foreign nation company is having more than a prescribed limit of users, then they should have their offices in India, registered offices, so that the liabilities of the employees can be fixed. They also extended with reference to removing the contents. They say that either intermediary should have the orders from the courts when it comes to the IPR issues, or from the government, because the intermediaries that is a very common kind of excuse which they place. They say that we are not the experts of IPR, and in case if there are IPR violations by individuals on our side, we normally are not the competent to decide such matters. So in such cases, we should be given the liberty that either the government should direct us to remove or to make corrections with regard to such contents, or the court should issue directions that whether these contents are required to be removed or not, or what action is required from the part of the intermediary. That's it. They've also extended the time, that 36 hours time is very less to examine such cases. Therefore, the time may be extended from 36 hours to 72 hours, which all such kind of provisions are there. In addition to that, there are multiple kind of other specific provisions also, which I mean, as a student of law, we all should go through it, and we all are the users of the social media, and we all know that what we expect, what the individuals and how the individual should behave on social media, and what kind of liability should be there for the intermediaries on social media. And therefore, so that we can make the rules and regulations more specific to fixing the responsibilities of the intermediary, so that all these loopholes in which the issues which we discussed at the start of this discussion may be countered. So I request you that just go through the kind of regulations which are there, and in case if you find any kind of loopholes, or if you have some suggestions to make it more specific and effective, you can send your views to the ministry and the law ministry, as well as the Ministry of Information Technology, so that this issue can be settled in the Indian perspective. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. So while we have very little time left, we have some questions from the participants, if we could ask you with your permission.
Yes.
So one question comes from a faculty member. It says that what is the liability of an intermediary in cases where the users get arrested for posting content which is objectionable to the government ideology? For instance, a girl called Priyanka Sharma was arrested for posting Mamata Banerjee's objectionable photo. So what is your opinion on that?
So that's why they say that there is no specific liability on the part of the intermediary. They say that they have covered everything, that it's a responsibility of the users. So they have shifted their burden to the users of the social media. They say that we have created this agreement where there is a liability of the user, that they should not indulge in such kind of activity. And in case if they indulge, then the action as per law will be initiated against them. And therefore, if it is derogatory, then defamation provisions would be there. So all these provisions, until and unless the intermediaries are intentionally involved, where they themselves follow. Say, for example, up to an extent, Indian government is having some kind of influence on intermediaries, so that they have up to an extent imposed some kind of limitations that they have to produce certificates, they have to have the offices in India, because India is a larger market and the intermediaries, they have their own interest. The intermediaries, same intermediaries, following the Indian government, the Pakistan government last November or July 2020, they tried to fix the limitations on intermediaries in Pakistan. These intermediaries, they said that we are not earning so much of profit. It is a kind of service which we are rendering to the Pakistan government. In case if you will put any kind of limitation, the moment you will put in limitation, we will remove all our services and we are not going to provide. And therefore, the government has to withdraw it. But when it comes to the Indian prospect, why we are so liberal? Because we do not. That's why I said that perhaps that is one of the reasons why we are a bit liberal towards the intermediaries, because we do not have sufficient infrastructure. The moment the Indian government will have our own infrastructure to facilitate and to run all these e-governance activities on in portal, perhaps we'll scrutinize, we'll tighten it, and therefore by way of creating such kind of regulations, that's why they are taking so much of time, so that how to fix more responsibilities in a stricter manner can be determined. Perhaps that may be one of them.
So does putting restrictions on such intermediaries, most of whom have an international base, put India in a bad light?
No, see, when it comes, that's why they say that now, because prior to these kind of regulations, when the multinational companies, they are not having their registered offices in India, it becomes a jurisdictional issues that whether the I mean the victim would be entitled to file a case in India, or they have to file the case there, because in most of the cases they say that Indian courts, they do not have jurisdiction. So to remove all such hurdles, now the government up to an extent has created such kind of obligation on these intermediaries, that if sufficient number of users, so for example, if Facebook or these, they have this much of number of users in India, then they have to have their registered office in India, so that the liabilities and actions can be initiated in the registered offices of the people in charge there. They will be held responsible on that. Earlier such kind of, so slowly the Indian government is trying to tighten the screw in terms of determining the responsibility, but how far we'll be able to control them, how far we'll be able to fix the responsibility, that is still in question. That's why I have suggested that we all should look into the kind of regulations which the government has framed, so that if we can share your views, the multiple kind of views, if will be there, the government will take advantage of it.
All right, sir. Okay. Thank you so much, sir, for addressing our questions. So with this, we move to the end of the event. I would like to take 2 minutes to propose the vote of thanks. First and foremost, I would heartily like to thank our speaker for the day, Dr. Anand Pawar. Thank you, sir, for sparing time out of your busy schedule and delivering such a productive and knowledgeable address. I would also like to express my profound gratitude to Director General, Honorable Mr. Justice Bhavar Singh, sir, our Director DME, Dr. Ravikant Swami, and Head of Academics, Professor Dr. Bhavesh Gupta, sir, for their constant moral support and guidance. This event would not be possible without Ms. Sri Durga, my co-host for the day, and the student coordinator, Shreya Lalima Manogya, and of course, Kush sir, who helped us in organizing this event. And last but not the least, I thank all the faculty members and the wonderful audience who actively participated today. So thank you very much. With this, we conclude this event. Wish you a very good day.
Special thanks to Kush for inviting me. Thank you, Kush. Thank you for having me. Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Thank you so much.
Vedpriya, you are muted.